ZInspector has a lot of report export options. For example, by default, you get a copy in your email. You can also send them to popular programs like Dropbox or Google Drive. To do this, we use a service called Zapier. We need to go and create an account here on Zapier, so go ahead and do that. You also need to contact support@zinspector.com and ask for assets. We have this set to invite only, so you'll need this link received from us. When you click on the link, that'll take you into Zapier, and now you'll have access, and click here to accept invite, and now you'll have access to the ZInspector. So a Zap in Zapier is really something that connects two different programs together. That's what's called a Zap. So let's go ahead and make a new one. So I'll make a Zap, and now you're going to connect the two different things you want to send to each other. So for example, we're going to want to search for ZInspector, and I have different icons here, but you're going to see your one main one here for ZInspector. And we're going to use report uploaded. So whenever a report is generated in ZInspector, that's what we call the trigger event, and that's going to trigger something else. So here you're going to hit continue, and let's go ahead and we're going to have to pick the account. So this is kind of a key thing, that when you head to edit account, you're going to have to connect the ZInspector account. And in order to do that, you're going to want to also go to timeline, and under settings, profile settings, and here you'll generate an API key. And this API key is what tells Zapier which account you're going to be connecting to. And so from there, on your accounts, you'll go ahead and pick your account, you can edit your account, and you will set up your account here with the API key. And so you're going to go ahead and search for ZInspector, click this, and that's going to take you into the authentication, and then paste your API key in that and hit yes, continue. All right, so now that you have it on your account, you'll be able to pick it. I'm going to go back to my Zap. I'm going to pick the ZInspector account, and I've got a few different accounts for testing, but here's that account. Okay, so now how this works is that, again, whenever a report is generated from that particular ZInspector account, and then we're going to get the specific report type. So this is what we call the property name field, the activity, and the date. Okay, so here, these are kind of core fields that's all going to come in. All right, now I'm going to hit continue, and we can go ahead and do a test, and then it's going to find one of the last reports, and you can see here, I've got that, and I've actually got the actual file there as well, and there's my activity. All right, so my next steps now is what I'm actually going to do with it. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go do something with it, and I'm going to send it to, let's say, Google Drive or Dropbox, something very similar. Now here, so once we have kind of choose that, Google Drive, and here we're going to then upload the file and then hit next and continue. Now, one nice thing about Dropbox over Google Drive is Dropbox will actually allow you to set it up a little bit differently. So you could, for example, have a different folder for every single property name. It'll match it up and put all the reports in that right folder. With Google Drive, there's just various limitations with it, and we're just going to have to put all the reports into one folder in Google Drive, but it'll still all be searchable by the property name as well. Okay, so we're going to, same type of thing, just like we did, we had to connect our ZInspector account. You also have to connect your Google Drive account. I've already got here a Google Drive account, and then hit continue. And so now I've got that. And now I'm going to say, we're going to connect it to Google Drive, and we're going to pick the right folder that we want to send it to. So typically you're going to do something like ZInspector reports or something like that. You can make your own. And now you're going to choose the actual file. So that's coming from ZInspector. So that's the actual file, the actual physical file that we're going to be sending, and that's where it's coming from. And now we're not going to do any conversions, but we're going to choose how we want to name it. So definitely want to recommend you use the property name, and then you can do something like this. I'm going to put an underscore and then pick, for example, the date. And so now I'm going to have in the file name, I'll have the property name and the date all in there. And you might need to do other things like the report activity or things like that as well. Okay, now then here we're going to actually pick the extension. And at this time, we are always sending PDFs, so you can just actually even go ahead and type in a PDF. Okay. And now we've got this extension. We're going to do a little test to continue. And so once this is done, now from now on, your files are going to go all into Google Drive. So at this point, I'm basically done. You can do other zaps. We don't need to do that. So at this point, we are essentially done at this. You can kind of trigger another action if you wanted. But in this case, we don't need to do any of this, so we're done. So I'm just going to hit delete that one. And then I can actually just go ahead and turn on my Zap. And so now whenever something happens, reports during Z-Inspector, it's going to get uploaded to Google Drive. Now, a key thing, this is not going to send your old reports. It's just going to send new ones. To do a test, simply click on any report. So the yellow icons are the actual report. And then you can click Email Distribute. And the distribute is what will actually process it based on all the rules of your company. So in this case, it'll send it to Google Drive here as well.